The sound of iron echoed through the mountains long before the first Roman soldier ever saw his enemy. Shields locked together as narrow trails twisted between towering cliffs. Sweat ran beneath heavy bronze helmets, while every step forward disappeared into silence. Then, without warning, stones thundered down from above. Spears burst from the trees. Invisible warriors emerged from the forests, only long enough to strike, before vanishing once again into the shadows. For a terrifying moment, it seemed impossible that Rome could survive. Yet that was precisely what made Rome different. Again and again, throughout its history, defeat would become the foundation of victory. Only a few years earlier, the Republic itself had been born from revolution. The kings were gone. Tarquin the Proud had been driven into exile. The people had sworn that no man would ever again rule Rome as king. Freedom had become the city's greatest ideal. But freedom alone could not protect a republic surrounded by enemies. Every road leaving Rome crossed lands controlled by ambitious neighbors. To the north stood the wealthy Etruscan cities that had once shaped Roman culture. Across the plains lived the Latin peoples, sharing language with Rome, but increasingly fearing its growing influence. High in the rugged Apennine Mountains lived the Samnites, hardened warriors raised among steep valleys where survival demanded strength from childhood. Farther south, magnificent Greek colonies flourished beside the sea, their marble temples, philosophers, and merchants linking Italy to the wider Mediterranean. Rome stood at the center of all of them, small, vulnerable, and dangerously ambitious. Its leaders understood something that few republics ever dared admit. Waiting for peace would never guarantee peace. If Rome wished to survive, it would have to shape its own future before someone else shaped it first. So the Republic chose expansion, not because its citizens dreamed of empire, but because they feared extinction. The Italy of the 4th century before Christ was nothing like the unified nation we know today. It was a mosaic of rival peoples, shifting alliances, ancient grudges, and competing ambitions. Every valley belonged to someone. Every hilltop held another fortified town. Every tribe believed its own gods watched over its destiny. Few imagined that one city beside the Tiber would someday rule them all. Rome itself remained surprisingly ordinary. Its streets were narrow. Many homes were built from timber and clay. Farmers spent their mornings behind wooden plows before answering the Republic's call to war with shield and spear. There was no permanent professional army waiting inside great barracks. There were only citizens, men who fought because their farms, families, and future depended on the survival of the Republic. That simple idea would become one of Rome's greatest strengths. The first great test came not against strangers, but against neighbors. For generations, Rome and the Latin cities had shared language, customs, festivals, and marriages. Their markets traded together. Their soldiers had once fought side by side against common enemies. But success changes relationships. Each Roman victory shifted the balance of power. Each new alliance made neighboring cities wonder whether Rome still sought friendship or obedience. Suspicion slowly replaced trust. Finally, diplomacy collapsed. The Latin War had begun. Roman soldiers marched into villages whose accents sounded almost identical to their own. Across the battlefield stood men who worshipped many of the same gods and celebrated many of the same festivals. This was not simply conquest. It was civil war among cousins. Victory did not come quickly. Some cities resisted fiercely. Others surrendered after brief sieges. Still others changed sides more than once as fortunes shifted. Yet something remarkable distinguished Rome from nearly every power around it. The Republic did not always destroy those it defeated. Instead, Rome often offered partnership. Some communities received partial citizenship. Others kept their own governments, while agreeing to provide troops whenever Rome called. Roads connected former enemies. Trade expanded. Young men from different towns marched beneath the same standards. Slowly, almost invisibly, Rome transformed conquered peoples into allies. It was an extraordinary political innovation. Other civilizations built empires through fear. Rome increasingly built power through inclusion. Not equal inclusion, not perfect justice, but enough shared opportunity that many former enemies eventually saw their future tied to Rome's own. The Republic had discovered one of the great secrets of its survival. Winning battles mattered. Winning people mattered even more. Every alliance strengthened the Republic. Every new road shortened the distance between cities. Every campaign expanded Rome's ability to mobilize men faster than any rival. Its greatest weapon was becoming neither sword nor spear. It was organization. But while Rome expanded across the plains, another enemy watched patiently from the mountains: the Samnites. Unlike the wealthy Etruscans or the urban Latins, the Samnites lived among rugged peaks where narrow valleys and dense forests shaped every aspect of life. Their warriors moved with astonishing speed across terrain that exhausted Roman formations. They knew hidden trails invisible to outsiders. They could vanish into forests before heavy Roman infantry even realized an attack had begun. They didn't need magnificent cities. The mountains themselves became their fortress. When war finally erupted, Rome entered expecting another difficult campaign. Instead, it found an enemy unlike any it had ever faced. The Samnite Wars would continue for generations. Children born during the first campaigns would become fathers before peace finally arrived. Entire lifetimes unfolded beneath the shadow of conflict. Roman armies captured towns only to lose them months later. Victories were answered by defeats. Defeats produced new strategies. Neither side surrendered easily. Each year demanded more soldiers, more resources, more sacrifice. Roman commanders slowly realized that courage alone would never overcome geography. The Republic needed to learn. Roads improved. Military camps became more sophisticated. Engineers accompanied armies. Supply lines grew stronger. Every setback forced innovation. Rome was evolving not because everything succeeded, but because failure became its greatest teacher. Then came one of the darkest moments in Republican history. In 321 BC, two Roman armies marched confidently into a narrow mountain pass remembered as the Caudine Forks. The route appeared safe. It was anything but. The Samnites had prepared a perfect trap. Both entrances to the valley were sealed. Towering cliffs surrounded the trapped legions. Escape was impossible. The Roman commanders faced an unbearable decision: fight and watch thousands die, or surrender. For a society built upon honor, surrender seemed almost unimaginable. Yet survival demanded humiliation. The defeated soldiers were ordered to pass beneath a wooden yoke built from captured spears. It symbolized absolute submission. Every Roman understood its meaning. The Republic had not merely lost, it had been disgraced. Families watched fathers, sons, and brothers return alive but stripped of honor. Many civilizations would have accepted such defeat as proof of their limits. Rome refused. Instead of abandoning expansion, the Republic asked a different question. Why had they failed? That question would change military history forever. Instead of retreating into fear, Rome rebuilt. New commanders studied every mistake made at the Caudine Forks. Engineers widened roads through difficult terrain. Scouts were sent farther ahead of advancing armies. Fortified camps became a daily routine, rather than an occasional precaution. Every evening, wherever the army stopped, thousands of soldiers worked together to dig defensive ditches, raise wooden palisades, and prepare for an attack before darkness fell. It was exhausting work, but it saved countless lives. Rome was becoming something extraordinary. Most armies fought battles. The Romans built systems. Every defeat refined those systems. Every hardship strengthened discipline. Every campaign produced officers who understood that victory belonged not only to the bravest soldiers, but to the best organized. The Samnites remained formidable opponents. They struck quickly, disappeared into forests, and forced Roman legions to fight on unfamiliar ground. Entire campaigns were decided by rain, steep hillsides, and narrow mountain paths, where shields became more of a burden than protection. But year after year, Rome kept returning. Its enemies often fought brilliantly. The Romans simply refused to stop fighting. This relentless determination slowly changed the balance of power. As Roman roads pushed deeper into central Italy, supplies reached armies faster than ever before. Reinforcements arrived in weeks instead of months. Allied cities sent fresh troops whenever losses mounted. What had begun as a loose network of partnerships was evolving into a military machine capable of replacing its losses again and again. The Samnites could win battles. Rome could replace armies. That difference proved decisive. By the end of the Samnite Wars, the Republic had paid a terrible price. Thousands of citizens had fallen. Entire generations had known little except conflict. Farms had been abandoned. Families mourned fathers who never returned. Yet Rome emerged stronger than before. Its armies were more disciplined. Its alliances stretched across much of central Italy. Its roads connected distant communities with astonishing efficiency. Most importantly, the Republic had learned that survival depended on adaptation. This lesson would echo throughout Roman history. Whenever Rome encountered an enemy unlike any before, it did not cling stubbornly to old methods. It observed, it learned, it changed. Few civilizations possessed that humility. Fewer still transformed it into strength. But Italy was not yet conquered. Far to the south, another challenge awaited. The wealthy Greek cities of Magna Graecia had flourished for centuries before Rome became a regional power. Their harbors welcomed merchants from across the Mediterranean. Their philosophers debated beneath marble colonnades. Their generals commanded armies trained in the traditions of Alexander the Great. Among these cities, one stood above the rest: Tarentum. Proud, prosperous, and confident in its independence. When Roman influence began expanding southward, tensions quickly rose. Misunderstandings turned into insults. Insults became violence. Soon, Tarentum made a decision that would alter the future of the Mediterranean. Unable to stop Rome alone, the city called upon one of the greatest military commanders of the age, King Pyrrhus of Epirus. Pyrrhus was no ordinary ruler. He had fought alongside veterans who remembered Alexander the Great. His army included experienced phalanxes, elite cavalry, and something the Romans had never encountered on a battlefield before: war elephants. When the enormous animals first appeared, towering above the dust with armored riders upon their backs, many Roman horses panicked. Soldiers stared in disbelief as creatures unlike anything found in Italy advanced toward their lines. The first battles were devastating. Pyrrhus won. Again. And again. His tactical brilliance impressed even his enemies. Roman formations broke beneath the pressure of disciplined Greek infantry, supported by charging elephants. For the first time, many wondered whether Rome had finally met a commander it could never overcome. Yet victory carried its own price. Every battle cost Pyrrhus experienced officers and irreplaceable veterans. Rome, meanwhile, continued raising new legions. Its allies continued sending reinforcements. Its roads continued delivering supplies. Its republic continued fighting. After one especially costly success, ancient writers record that Pyrrhus reportedly remarked that another victory like this would ruin him completely. Whether the words were spoken exactly as history remembers them, their meaning survived forever. A Pyrrhic victory. A victory so costly that it becomes almost indistinguishable from defeat. Rome understood something Pyrrhus did not. Winning a battle was not the same as winning a war. The Republic could absorb losses that would destroy almost any other state. Its strength no longer rested on a single army or a single general. It rested upon an entire system. Eventually, Pyrrhus withdrew from Italy, not because he had been decisively defeated in every battle, but because Rome had made continuing the war impossible. For the first time in its history, nearly the entire Italian Peninsula now recognized Roman supremacy. Some communities became citizens. Others remained loyal allies. Many retained local traditions while contributing soldiers to the growing republic. Rome had not erased Italy. It had woven Italy into itself. From a small settlement beside the Tiber, the republic had become the dominant power of the peninsula. Its people celebrated. Its enemies watched with growing concern. Across the sea, another republic observed Rome's rise from behind towering harbor walls. It possessed immense wealth, unmatched ships, and colonies stretching across the western Mediterranean. Its merchants controlled trade. Its admirals ruled the sea. Its leaders had no desire to see another ambitious republic challenge that dominance. The Romans called this city Carthage. Neither side believed a great war was inevitable. History had other plans. The struggle that followed would produce one of the greatest military commanders the world has ever known. A man whose name still echoes more than 2,000 years later. Hannibal. And when he crossed the Alps, Rome itself would stand on the edge of destruction.